My next guest is Zineb Layachi. She'll join me in a few moments. But just wanted to say that she's one of my closest friends from this business world. Somebody who I also got to know offline as well, and somebody I go to when I have some issues or some doubts to consult. She does the same with me, so I'm happy for that. But she's going to talk with you about sitting on gold. I'm not going to uncover anything else. She's going to tell it all. But for starters, let's bring Zineb to the webcon.
Hello.
Welcome on board.
Thank you so much, Nemanja, for having me, and thank you everyone who's tuning in. I'm really excited.
Yeah, you're matching the colors, almost like ours.
Almost. Nemanja, the fish part cracked me up. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. Like we still have to eat, no matter if we host like 10 sessions per day, but
Yeah.
that has to happen in between. So yeah, but enough of the fish. So how are you? How's everything?
Everything's fantastic. I'm glad you didn't you didn't mention anything about the gold. We'll be talking about all that right now. But I just want to give everyone a heads up. This is not financial advice. Okay, it's a different type of gold.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know. Still, we have a finance day, but maybe we should invite you to host a session or on that day as well.
Amazing.
Cool. Okay, I'm sharing your presentation and getting out of the screen so you can talk to the people. You will probably see on the chat some of the questions that are coming from social. If there are any, besides that, we also have questions on Slido. I will bring those questions when you finish with presentation, so we can get to the answers.
Amazing.
All good. Good luck.
Thank you. All right, everyone. I'm gonna go in full.
We lost the sound for some reason. That's why I'm back here. To see, yeah, that's a technical issue we didn't have yet, so it's another one. Try to go to the settings and then just audio. Okay,
How
very
about
good.
now?
All good. I'm
Yeah.
going away
Okay,
from
so
the
it's
screen.
just the mic that's, yeah. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. No matter how many times you test this, right?
Yeah, that's how it goes. Live is
All right,
live.
everyone, thank you for that. I am so looking forward to today's session. So you are sitting on gold. It is a session on how you can get that information, the juicy information that can actually help you in your marketing, your referrals, your confidence. And I just drop your questions, please, in the chat. I know we have time for questions at the end, but just drop any questions you may have, any comments, to make it as close as possible to an interactive session. Okay, so this is not a mistake. This is actual a visual representation of how most of us do marketing. So we operate in the dark. We sit back in our lovely laptops and we, as some say, Google our way to the perfect everything, the perfect story, the perfect post, the perfect everything. We put it out there, and that's it. We don't get anything. We don't get anything back, right? And we wait and wait. But the thing is that clarity, things like clarity, or how do we connect ideas, that's not going to just magically appear. We have to be actively looking for that, actively learning. So what I'm also trying to do with today's session is to invite you to be an active participant in this entrepreneurial journey, right? Whatever your business is. Now, one of the important things when we market ourselves is to actually be understood. Okay, and the reality is that we are rarely understood. So, but when we are, we end up sounding exactly like everyone else, right? So what can we do to actually improve this so that that we are understood, but also when people understand us, it's clear that we, as they say, stand out, right? We are different, really, truly. Now, last year I ran a poll back in the day when polls were still got a pretty decent reach. I'm sure most of you will remember those days. So, do people get it when you talk about you? Okay, and I would love for you to drop your answer in the chat. It would be interesting to see the results. So what do we see here? Apart from, I'm just going to remove that 7% of I don't cares. Those are just, I'm hoping they just have a nice sense of humor and that's it. But it's surprisingly not 100%. So 67% are not a yes, right? So this is worrying. Okay, so how can we actively improve that? How can we actively work towards people actually getting what we do when we talk about what we do and how we talk about it and how we do it, etc. Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with April Dunford. She's one of the top positioning experts. I absolutely loved her book, obviously awesome. She brings up this example, and so what you say you built versus what you actually built, most of the time, there's a huge gap. Okay, so in this case, if you say you built cake on a stick, all of a sudden, it brings up these questions in my head. I start connecting certain things like cake on a stick. Okay, so that doesn't sound very comfortable. How do I eat it on the go? Do I need a fork? All these questions start coming up. There's no flow. Now, when you say a lollipop made out of cake or cake pop, all of a sudden it starts to make a bit more sense. Okay? So how do we find this? How do we close that gap so that when we talk about what we do and who we do it for and the value we deliver, it actually makes sense for the person that's receiving it, and especially for the right people, the right audience. Now, Seth Godin, another big one in marketing, I'm sure you're all familiar with him. So one of the things where we can actually learn are reviews, right? Testimonials. But he says in this great episode, and I can drop the link in the chat later, that he doesn't pay attention to his 1-star or 5-star reviews. Okay, why? Because the 1-star ones are the ones, it's just their way of saying it's not for me. And then the 5-star ones don't actually give you information that'll help you be better at what you do. Okay, so this is an interesting point of view because we usually talk about reviews as a great source of learning. Not only is it not, because we are not, when we buy something, we are not good at explaining why, right? And you have a great session this afternoon with Ryan Gibson, who will dig into that a bit further. But for this example, now, if we don't understand how does that help me market myself better, or how does that review help a prospect move along the buying journey if it doesn't have the right elements? Okay. How can we improve how we talk about us, how others talk about us, or the referral narrative? How can we control that? How can we be aware of it and control it? And then ultimately how we feel about us, okay? Because this is a journey. This is a journey, and there are ups and downs, and we need to get to the point where we're confident about the work that we do. We are not insecure about the value that we deliver. Now, I'm going to give you a few tips. please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. First one. This is in my first years of when I built my agency. I sent a yearly check to pretty much everyone. Okay, I just wanted to keep tabs on these 3 things. Now, if you're further along in your business, of course, if you do it by segment so that you can really target the learning, that's fantastic. But I just wanted to do a general yearly check in addition to the work that I was doing and the research that I was doing during the year. Okay, so what would you reach out to me for? This is a very important question because I need to understand if I am occupying the right space in someone's mind. Okay? Now, these questions you can ask them outside of a survey, right? These are just one way you can do that. But it could be in a DM, it could be in a networking event, it could be in an email. The second question, what types of people can most benefit from my services? So this is interesting because you tap into what they think your ideal customers are, who they would probably recommend you to. So that's interesting. That's another piece of information. You take all this with a grain of salt, of course. But this third one is, if you were to recommend me to someone, what would you say? Okay. And this one is a great source of information. Let me know if you've ever asked these questions before in the chat. One of the big ones is, in business, never take a compliment and shut up. Okay, so when we do get a compliment, generally, what do? Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you, etc. And that's it. It stops there. Outside of business, we can do whatever we want, but in business, this is a great learning opportunity. Okay, this is where the learning starts. After the thank you very much, because before the thank you is just pure ego. But it's useless. It doesn't help you be better at what you do. It doesn't help you market yourself better. It doesn't help you. But if someone actually gave you a compliment, they're reaching out. So let's dig in, right? And I'm going to show you a few examples. Now, the reason why people find it so hard to do this is, what if I annoy them? What if I come off as pushy? What if no one answers? Okay. Now, what if I annoy them? I'm telling you, you will annoy certain people. And that's okay, because you won't annoy others. You will come off as pushy to certain people. And that's okay, because you won't come off as pushy to others. What if no one answers? Most probably won't answer, but some will. And you know what's even more beautiful about this is that some people will not only respond, but they will also get inspired to do the same thing. And they will come back and say, I tried this is amazing, and I'm getting loads of information. Thank you so much. Okay, so just reframe it, switch the narrative with yourself. Here's an example. Get an invitation, a LinkedIn invite. Now, this one was a bit more specific. I loved your first sentence. Give them freaking good reasons. This person's making a reference to my LinkedIn headline. This is more specific than what most people get. Okay, but still, it's, apart from the fact that, okay, so my headline is attracting attention, it doesn't necessarily give me that much. It doesn't give me that much juice to work with, but it's a starting point. Here's one. You connect with someone new. You can respond, hey, Mary, thanks for the connection request. I love meeting new people on here. What inspired you to connect? Okay, so the big difference is you can stop where most people stop, which is thank you for connecting, and then you can go a level deeper. What inspired you to connect? Every single connection is a learning opportunity. Not everyone is going to respond, and that's okay. Here's another one. One of the compliments I love the way you put across words. Okay, now I could be like, this is amazing, right? I'm almost a copywriter. I love this, right? But that's not going to help me at all. So I move to the next level. What made you say that? And you can add your little phrase. For example, I'm using always learning, so I have to ask, just to sort of lighten up the mood. You can find your own phrasing, just test it out, and you'll see what you feel more comfortable with. Now we're talking. This is much more interesting. Now, after one of the presentations I did last year, well, an in-person talk, I got connections and feedback. Now, someone told me I was very good at all web. Fantastic. I could have left it at that, but I wanted to go one level deeper. I wanted to know what stuck with that person. Okay. So it seemed to be the part about being more yourself. So we talked a lot about not taking yourself too seriously, but do take your business seriously. So that at least landed. Here's another one. Someone reaches out. They love the messages on my t-shirts. So if you know anything about me, you probably know I'm obsessed with merch, t-shirts and caps and all that, and hoodies. I could have stopped there. This person loves the t-shirts. We could stop there, but that's not enough. So I'm going to ask, which one is your favorite? I'm not for everyone. Now, this one answer on its own is not enough. But if I keep doing this, I can start seeing that maybe it's the I'm not for everyone that's resonating the most, in addition to the number of sales, of course, that we actually get on that specific t-shirt. Here's another one. Someone connected, loved my content. What about my content stood out? Now, this one's very interesting because she gave me information. We continued digging in, but she actually said, it seems unabashedly you, even though she doesn't know me. Okay. Now I took that, and when I did my new about section, that was there. I added unabashedly you, right? And I reached out again and I told her, thank you so much for inspiring that. And this is what I did with our message. Now, preaching this for me means that I almost never get away with, hey, I love the way you do, love your content. I loved your presentation. I almost never can get away with that because people, they say, you preach that, what do you like about the way I explain stuff? Or they dig in, they don't let me get away with that. That won't be your case. This is just for me, okay? In your conversations. So day in and day out, we're on LinkedIn having these conversations in the comments. So if I say the signs are there, the struggle to relax, I relate to and work on. The author could have left it there, but no, since we're talking, the post is related to what the person does. The person decided to dig in a bit further. What kind of things have helped you? Now, that's learning that might end up in a future content or an example that the person can use in a presentation or even on the website. Okay, so continue to dig in. Other types of questions, what helps you get to that point? And we start getting more and more details. Okay, then we apply the grain of salt. And Nosheen Chen, if you're not following Nosheen, I highly recommend following her. She'll make you camera ready and stage ready also. So she asks a question at the end of her post, what's stopping you from creating videos? Now I ask you, what question do you ask your audience? What are you trying to learn? Okay, think about those types of questions. The lazy sharing frenzy, okay? So these are, up till now, we talked about conversations in threads, we talked about invites, but I want to talk about the sharing frenzy. So let's say you listen to a great podcast, you want to share it with someone, it made you think of someone. I think of Nemanja and I just share it. Now, sharing has become way too easy these days. So I invite you to actually, as in this example, so this person actually was listening to a podcast, thought of me, removed their gloves to send me a DM. Okay? However, time is limited for everyone. Okay, so if I had to read each blog post, each podcast from everything that comes into my inbox or my WhatsApp, etc., I wouldn't have any time at all. So I have to understand what about that piece made her think of me. Okay, so A, I know if I want to dig into it or not. And B, I want to understand what space do I occupy in her head? What connections did she make with me? And are those the right ones, right? Next time someone sends something to you, ask them, but why did you send it? Is it something specific? What was it? What particular thing was it that made you think of me? Now, let's say I wanted to know how this talk went, this one right here. I can start off with, did you enjoy the talk? Okay, but I'm not going to leave it there. And what 3 things stuck with you? What did you enjoy the most? What did you enjoy least? Okay, so that's where the learning starts. We want the positive, the negative. We want to understand what the high points were, what stuck with you. Maybe I'm focusing this one on a very specific message, but it's something totally different that stuck with you. Okay. Generally, if someone says, I really enjoyed your talk, or I did not like the report, we generally go back and say, so why did you enjoy the talk, or why did you not like the report? Now, asking why as a follow-up question, in addition to sometimes being a bit feeling like an inquisition, right? It doesn't get you the juicy details. But questions like the ones we've seen before, which was, for example, just the last 2 examples, what 3 things stuck with you? What did you enjoy the least? What about it specifically did you not like? What part did you enjoy most? Okay. When is enough? Okay, so when it comes to feedback, as this is one of my favorite examples, when it comes to feedback, the Mona Lisa could have, been completely unfinished. But when it comes to this never taking a compliment and shutting up, you're constantly learning. So get in the habit of this. And if you stop learning anything new, then sure, you can consider stopping, but I would recommend you always keep asking and never take a compliment and shut up. I myself sometimes ignore my own advice in some cases, right? Now, we've talked about getting information out of others. I want to focus real quick on getting information out of you, because we don't realize that we have so much, we're sitting on so much gold inside that we just need someone to get it out of us. Okay. Now, think of when I don't know how many of you actually repurpose your calls, your discovery calls, your client calls, your team calls, etc. I don't know how many of you do that, or just at least listen to them. If you listen to them and you think of a client call, for example, you are in such flow state that you're saying and describing the value and working through their examples with the stories that come out of your mouth, that you're in flow state. It's so natural. It's so much more powerful than anything that you will write once you sit down. So I invite you to actually listen to those calls. Another great example, I don't know if you know the tool Lunch Club, but Lunch Club, it just, you fill out a bit of information and it connects you with people from all over the world, right? It's a networking tool. So when you practice, so what do you do? Every single new call, so what do you do? Now, listen to yourself. the way you express that. And then listen to the other person, watch the other person. Do they ask questions that make you feel like they didn't really get it? Or do they reach out for their phone? Or did they get super excited about a specific part of of what you said? Listen to all that. Okay? I want you to be more conscious in these types of situations. Now, this is super obvious, right? I myself, this is the third time I'm doing this talk. This is super obvious. Every single time I was thinking, no, I can't do this. I can't do a whole talk on this. This is too simple. It's too obvious. Well, the thing is, it's a lesson in itself because most people do not do this. Most people do not do this. We're too busy chasing those big hacks, etc. And this is very simple. And I have people every single time, still to this day, messaging me and saying, "Hey, I learned this new thing, and I tried this new question, and it worked," and etc. So I invite you to actually try this. Most people most people actually know that growth is not linear. Okay, it's not linear. Now, but most of us act as though it were. Okay? So in our journey to sort of circle back to the dark, the operating in the dark, the first visual representation, it's not from nothing to success, right? It's a bunch of ups and downs, a bunch of ups and downs. So how do we keep going? How do we make sure that when we're in the oh crap moment, we keep going if it's still worth it, right? And these types of simple, seemingly obvious things keep us going because we are an active participant in this journey and we're learning and we're constantly learning, right? And we know that it's working, what's not working, and we keep going. I just want to invite you to have the courage to actually be curious, to never take a compliment and shut up, at least in business. The rest up to you, right? And just as an example, that phrase, the courage to be curious, actually came from someone who, in the last time I did the talk, told me they loved the talk, and I started digging in. And it was a very long message. And one of the things they mentioned is the biggest takeaway is the importance of having the courage to be curious, right? So this is all connected as long as you apply a grain of salt. Okay, so don't stop at thank you. And speaking of thank you, chvalati. So thank you so much. Let me know if you have any questions. And I guess I can call you gold diggers, all gold diggers, but the good kind, of course.
I love how you call them a gold diggers. That's actually a nice one. Can you hear me? Yeah, Zineb, can you hear me? Zineb, can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
No.
Ah, okay. No idea. Up. How about now? Okay, okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't do
We're
anything.
good.
That's probably just the internet. Okay, so two questions. And first, one comment. One comment first. Thank you for the beautiful presentation and all those insights. I never think about those things, and you know that I'm super interactive with people, but I never think about those things. So I'm one of the people that don't think about them. Imagine how other people who are not interacting with the others don't even have the slightest thoughts about what you just mentioned, right? And it's
Yeah.
I can say pretty scary.
Yes. Yes,
But
it is.
one comment: what inspired you to connect that is something that when I get that at the end of my message, I always shut down the laptop. I cannot do it now.
There you go.
Just
Some will answer, some will.
it got me. Yeah. And I mean, it's a fair question and totally okay to ask those things, right? But
Yeah.
I get, when I connect with people and then instantly they send me a message. When is part of your connect? Oh, come on, man! We have to do it now? you know. But one thing I want to emphasize is that last line of any message that you send to the people, no matter if it's a connection invite or it is the welcome message, it's the one that defines what's going to happen. If it's what inspired you to connect when you search information from them, or is the CTA when you tell them everything is on my profile, or anything else that's super essential to get you to the next step.
Yeah. And Nemanja, I want to just add, for example, I have loads of connection requests, and I know that I need to take one day and just go through them, right? But sometimes maybe the last one was from months ago, right? So if I go back and this person was months ago, probably doesn't even remember what attracted them, right? So sometimes I don't ask that question, depending also, it's a feeling, right? But if there's that time thing, yeah, I sometimes don't ask that question.
Yeah, I mean, everything is, up to the person, right? We need to get to know ourselves before we get to connect with others, and how much of those things we actually want to share. But we try to open up and we try to get other people to open up, then we are uncovering the gold.
Yes. Exactly.
Guys, I would recommend you to go to Zineb's profile, connect with her, tell her that you saw her on BTN WebCon, so she accepts the invite soon. But also, don't wait for her to accept the connection request. She's sharing a lot of interesting stuff at the first look, not directly related to the business, but those things are related to the business. You will get that in time. Try and go and interact. I think one thing I can say that, Zineb, you are the maybe the only person that I have in my network that kind of has that relaxed vibe on the LinkedIn and still manage to convert and get more business and grow and all those things. And it's hard for many people. That's why I'm directing them to your profile, so they can see how you are actually doing the things that you just said to them, and so they can see it. Okay, if she can do it, maybe we can do it too.
And then I have to ask you follow-up questions. I have to keep, right? I have to stick to my advice. I'll send you a message. Thank you.
Exactly. That's usually how it goes. Tell to the people where else they can find you except LinkedIn.
Ooh, that's going to be a quick answer. If I'm online, I'm probably on LinkedIn. So happy to connect on LinkedIn if you have any questions. You just want to share your thoughts, and of course, if you want to tell me what you least enjoyed, what you most enjoyed, I'm open. I want to keep improving. So thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks for the presentation. Thanks for being the part of the BTN WebCon. Thanks for wearing yellow or orange or whatever it is. I mean, gold. This is the gold color, so
It's a bit gold, yeah.
we are good. Stay safe and keep in touch.
Thank you, Nemanja. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Ciao.